if you were to see me in my totality, I would be here, my spirit, my soul there, my body. Can you imagine 3 people standing here? And he said, I want you preserved, all of you preserved blameless. What we've done is we've got a few scriptures and say, let me be healed and this and that, this and that. But we've neglected what he told us about our bodies. And everything has got to come under that light. Are we ready for my scriptures? Okay, and God planted a garden eastward in Eden. And look, he took the man, second one, he took the man and put him into the garden. Why? To dress it and to keep it. What does it mean by dress it? And what does it mean by keep it? Dress it means to tend to it, to get the weeds out and all of that. In Mark 4, when Jesus walked the earth, he sent his son. He did the same thing. He told us about the sower soweth the word. He said, if you don't understand this parable, you don't understand anything. You've got to understand that there are different kinds of soil. Amen. Are you with me right now?
Yeah.
And so he likened the idea of the way a person plants seed into the ground is how we plant seed in the human heart. Are you with me?
Yes.
And one of the reasons why, and Ed brought this out a minute ago, is we haven't come in alignment. We've gotten out of alignment. And let me tell you what something happened to me. I haven't had a headache in 40 or 50 years. And I'm not on any prescription drug, but it hadn't always been that way. I had to come in alignment. Now let me tell you what, and I'm gonna give you several examples. Dr. Boyd is here, she can tell you another. We got several people that are here. Let me tell you what happened. One day, something had happened, and my wife had done something, and I didn't like it. And so she was wrong, not me. But I was judging her by what she did wrong. Next thing I know, I'm getting a headache. I couldn't figure it out, so I'm walking around with a headache, and I'm confessing. I'm healed, I'm healed, I'm healed. How many have been there? By his stripes I'm healed. Meditating the word. You go walk on the floor. I bet you 1,000 times that I did it, but nothing happened. So one day my cousin came by, and he was sitting talking. My head was hurting so bad, I had a Bufferin 6 headache. You know what that is? I mean, you need to pop some pills. But, I chose, I'm not going to take medicine. I'm going to believe God. I got down by the sofa, prayed, and I said, Father, show me. And when I asked him, he showed me Luke 6:37. Now that's the first time I heard the voice of God. And when you go to Mark 4, he talks about he that hath ears to hear. You got to be able to hear. Yes. The first seed, let's go to the second slide. And it says, go to the next one. Yeah, this one I want. I want that one. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Amen. We shall live by bread that produces life, but we also have to live by the word of God. We have to come into alignment with his plan. You don't just live by bread, you live by both, but you can't neglect the bread. And the problems with a lot of us that we're seeing is that we are not eating the right bread. Let me give you another example. I was at Hilton Head, and Pastor and I were there, and he told me, we got through eating, and we had strawberry shortcake. He said, I've cut out the sugars in my life. And I said, well, tell me what happened. He went to the doctor. He had 3 vessels that were blocked. 90-something%, all 3 vessels in his heart. The doctor said, don't go home, go straight to the hospital. You got to have surgery. But he went home and told his wife, he said, I've been praying. See, he'd been confessing the word. You hear me? He'd been praying, he'd been seeking, but nothing was happening. Now, why did God unblock his heart? Because he was praying. You can't neglect, but man shall not live by bread alone, but what? By every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Let me pause there for a minute and tell you why you're here right now. I'm here because my sister's here this morning, and her father and my father prayed and said, I want one of my sons to be a minister. I didn't think. I was on my way. I got in chemistry, a degree, getting a master's in chemistry. And one of my biochem teachers said, you're a good person. You ought to go to medical school. I went to medical school, got in medical school. I'm doing fine. I got in medical school, and one day, David Jones, at a Bible study, said to me, I have a vision. I see a vision. You walking in a room with men with white coats sitting around a table. Jesus said to you in the midst of these men, I'm closing this door. I didn't ask him to close it. But he said, and I'm opening a wider door of healing and ministries. That's why you're here right now. I did not know. And so let's go back to the Hilton Head, the doctor. So he told me he went home. And he told his wife, I'm going to cut out white flour, white sugar, starches, and I'm going to walk, for a while. He walked 6 months later. His vessels were open 50%. 1 year, 100%, no surgery. Amen. He's alive today. And that he's older than I am, and I'm 76, so he's up there. So you can live a healthy life. Yes, you can. Say it with me, I can live a healthy life. I can live a healthy life. But we've got to eat what's healthy. If we don't eat what's healthy. Now, I contracted high blood pressure, and I tried to get rid of it. So I was walking in the Word, confessing and all that stuff like that. But it came within range of 90 over 140, which is admissible. Let's call that borderline hypertensive. But I could not get it below that. Then I remember what my father did. He did this. He had garlic. Remember that, Brenda? Yes. He took garlic along with his meals. His blood pressure became normal for 30 years of his life. He never took medicine after that. He didn't never have to take any high blood pressure medicine after that. Is that right? Yeah. And he went to the doctor. The doctor wrote him a prescription after 25 years, put him back on medicine. He went home, threw it in the trash can, and kept taking his garlic and eating right. He outlived the doctor. Yeah. Are you with me right now? Yeah. Dr. Axe, or whatever, you see him a lot. He talks about collagen, and he's on the internet all over the place. He talked about his mother. His mother had cancer, and she took drugs and everything and got better. But then she contracted cancer again. So he said, we're going to beat this without medicine. You know what he did? He started doing what I did, juicing and eating. And her cancer left and has never come back. Praise God. Foods are medicine. Proverbs 4 says, his word is medicine. It's health. But so is his foods, because he's taken those foods. A man that could live eternally, Adam, he put him in a garden, told the man, dress this garden and keep it. He didn't build him a mansion. He didn't build him things like we see in Acapulco, in the Poconos. He could have put him in a luxurious palace. He put him in a garden and said, dress that thing and keep it. And you're going to live him. By heaven, there are trees in heaven. There's a tree of life right in heaven. So God has given us a way that he can enter in our affairs. Now, so he tells us in the Word, let me finish what happened to me. My blood pressure came right at 140 over 90. It wasn't until I began eating right. Now, he didn't put me on any medication then, but it stayed that way for a long time. So he wrote me out a prescription. So I said, I'm going to find out what happened. So I tried taking garlic. It didn't work. But you got, like he said, here, go to the next scripture. He tells us that you've got to hear. In Mark, he says here, he that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Say it with me, I have ears to hear.
I have ears to hear.
Say this with me, I believe
I believe
I can hear accurately
I can hear
the
accurately
voice of the Spirit of
the
God.
voice of the Spirit of God.
Now he will show you what you have to do to live that way. So I started taking different things, it's natural things, eating right, natural things. Next thing I know, my blood pressure became normal, 79 over 120. It's been that way, stays that way. Brain fog disappeared. Joint pain disappeared. Like I said, pain is gone, Headaches gone. I don't even know what it's like. And so we can speak to things, Norval AIDS. How many ever heard of Norval? He said one time he was caught up in the heavens, and God asked me, he said, have you ever heard my people talking to the flu? He said, no, I never heard them talking to the flu. He said, I told my people to speak to their mountain, but my people are talking to me about that mountain.
Yes.
Are you with me? But first, see, you've got to have your heart right. You've got to empty. Romans 12:1 says, present your bodies unto God as a living sacrifice. Take away everything that's not right. Cleanse me of it. Forgive me for the wrong I've done to myself. Forgive me for the wrong that I've done to others. Forgive me for the wrong that I've done to you. And I release every person who's wronged me. You have to love walk. The love walk. See, that's what, and then, the other part of us is fear and worry. And Rebecca talks a lot about this, mindfulness. You can't be full of tension and have a normal life. God don't want you to worry. Have no worry or any anxiety about anything. You know what that is? So you can't, worry is destroying us. It's debilitating us. And so what we have to do is put joy. A merry heart does good like a what?
Medicine.
Make food your medicine. Make his promises your medicine. Now, when I say food, I'm talking about spiritual food and physical food.
Yes.
Now, he said that his word was water, milk, bread, and meat. They ate of that spiritual meat, the Bible says. Paul says, I have fed you in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, I've fed you with milk and not with meat because you're not able to bear it. What is he talking about? He's not talking about physical food. He's talking about spiritual food.
Yes.
So we're to take spiritual food, but at the same time, we've got to keep our hearts right and eat right as well.
Yes.
I know some powerful prophets, I've got about 2 minutes, that they live to be 80. And he said, I want my people living longer, but they've neglected their bodies. Buddy Harrison went to the Lord and asked him, I want to be used in the healing ministry. And the Lord told him, you got to deal with your body. See, because everything is under divine alignment. Say it with me, divine alignment.
Divine alignment.
See, when he spoke in the beginning, we're under his covering. Now, if you step out, how are you gonna do what he wants you to do and you're out of his range? You got to get back under the spout where the glory comes out. You got to get back into the garden. You got to get back into the book. You got to get back into forgiveness. You got to get back in walking in love and being worry-free. And we all know that there are different kinds of diets and things in the world and all of that. And I'm not here to talk about that. Rebecca can address all that kinds of things. But what I am telling you is that we're eating spiritual food, but we've neglected our physical diet. And we've got to come back. And he said, now, one of the reasons why many of us are weak, sickly, and die. You want to hear the answer to that? 1 Corinthians chapter 11. You don't have to turn there. I'm just going to write it down. He said, come to my communion table. But first let a man what? Judge himself. Because if you don't judge yourself, there are many weak, sickly, and many sleep. See, he tells us, and this is a table. This is a table. This is a table. We're eating what? Spiritual food. But we come to that table and we neglect what we're supposed to do in order to have longevity. I believe that nobody needs to be sick.
Amen.
I believe we can all be healthy because it's in the book. Why would he lie to us? It's in the book. And I have seen that happen. And so you and I are in a place right now where we can hear what we need to do to get back to the basics. He put the man in the garden. The whole universe, the whole ecosystem he set up, and everything that he made, he took this man and put him in a garden. And he already had eternal life built in him. Now, we who didn't have eternal life until we met Jesus Christ, it just told us how to get that back in our systems. But how much more do we need it? Because we're in contact with this physical world. We've neglected our bodies. We're shallow in our minds. We're full of worry and doubt and fear and all these things. And so somebody told me that Dr. Boyd was telling me that she was dealing with type 2 and high blood pressure and all these tensions of life. It went to a place in Africa. When she got away from that, began to eat diet. She sent me a video of Janet, who's in Kenya. She just got back from Kenya. Matter of fact, both of you were in Kenya at the same time. And so, it's amazing. She said, type 2 left. High blood pressure left. She's just changed her eating and got rid of all the tensions of life, and all of a sudden made whole. You can do the same thing. That's why we're here. I wonder sometimes, why isn't this taken care of? Why isn't that taken care of? It's simply because we neglected. You can't neglect. You shall live by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. If he thought it was important to fling stars, tell the fish come, the birds come, then get down on his knees and plant a garden, what in the world is that about? And tell his man, I want you to stay here and fix this garden and keep it. If the birds come, the buzzards come, deer come, keep them out of that garden. Get those roots out, get those foreign things out of that garden, and you'll live. So I'm done. So I'm here to introduce to you, there's so much more that I could tell you about, but I know that many of us sleep because we're not eating right, spiritually and physically. And I tell you, I'm thrilled because my mind is clear. I run I'm just skipping and stuff like that. It's beautiful to not to be burdened down with the cares of this life. Let's stick your hands up with me just one second and say, I loose every care.
I loose every care.
Every weight.
Every weight.
And let me receive.
Receive.
And hear this morning. Afresh. Amen. Now, I was going to have this conference and I canceled it with ministers only. And I was talking to Pat and I told her about it. And so I said, well, I don't think I'm going to have it. And she said, you always do what you want to do. And this and that, and this and that. And I thought, I'm missing it. I'm hearing God say, I need to have a nutritionist come and speak with us. And because I haven't seen it before, I pushed it aside. We don't hear about this. This kind of thing has not happened. But if you will listen to what we have here today, you can keep your life, you can be in good health, you can run, jump, shout, and everything like that. And it'll be awesome. And you know, Pastor's already doing that at 90. Bob is here. He's Dr. I'm sorry, Dr. Bob. Yeah, let's put it that way. So, Rebecca, it comes from Scotland. She got her degree in Scotland at Robert Gordon University in Scotland. Matter of fact, that university, after you graduated, it was #1 in the nation.
Was it?
And she got her degree in nutrition. She's worked in a number of different settings. But one of the things that she does is goes from one place to another, planting gardens and showing people how to eat. She cooks. We were doing a Mediterranean diet over Bill and us at our Friday night Bible study, and I told her about it, and she was just, great, that's wonderful. We have food today, and our food, she approved of it. So what you have for lunch today, she approved of it, so it's going to be healthy. It's going to help you turn around. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up here Rebecca
Subbiah.
And she has a practice right here in Winston-Salem, and she does one-on-one counseling, and she wants to talk to you, so you might as well open up. She's not going to do the traditional, hallelujah, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to see that. Okay, come on. Thank you. Let's put our hands together and thank God for you.
Hello, everybody. So I'm not going to stand, I'll move around or whatever. And that's a nice segue. That's really good how, like with a church, they can take care of your spiritual health. And yeah, we do have a responsibility to take care of our physical health. It is a job. It's not easy. It takes prioritizing it. A lot of you folks are older, so it's getting, dare I say, a little easier. I see more of a struggle when people are either in the midst of being mums and dads and raising kids because they tend to put themselves on the back burner, or probably if you're taking care of older parents, it could be harder again. But it's not selfish to care for ourselves. So the first slide is the foundation of healthy eating. And as Pastor Boyd said, there are many diets. There's a new one along every day, it seems. And like the song alluded to, it is about getting back to the basics. Actually, healthy eating and taking care of ourselves isn't that complicated. Influencers or people who write books like to make it seem that way to make money off you and play on your fears to market things, in my opinion. But basic healthy eating is not that glamorous, in my opinion. Anyways, I do actually like the image of the plate. The government made my plate because it's easy to follow. We eat off a plate. Okay, so also we want to enjoy our food. We want to still have fun foods. What I mean by that is like cakes, cookies, ice cream. There's no good and bad food, and I'm going to come back to this at the end, because a lot of the way we approach food is very dogmatic and black and white in our thinking, and I think there's room for being in the gray. I think it's more easier and kinder and compassionate to live that way. Obviously, we want to stay well hydrated. We want to talk about gut health. So the carbohydrates provide energy, fiber, prebiotics, B vitamins, vitamins. I've been in the States 24 years, but still some words will still be British. Protein, amino acids, they make antibodies, repairing muscle, enzymes, hormones, provide iron, zinc, B vitamins. And the reason I'm just stating that is oftentimes with diets there's trends, right? Low carb or omit this, take this out. But when you have a variety of foods on your plate, you're going to get all that your body needs. I'm a big proponent of that. Fats are important to absorb fat-soluble vitamins. They taste great, add flavor. So we'll just go through some of the food groups. Do you have any questions about any of that so far? The portions is, if you think of the plate, half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables, a quarter carbohydrate, a quarter protein. In my practice, I don't really work a lot with diabetics. Like in some spaces, it's good to count carbohydrates if you have diabetes, particularly if you're on insulin to match the dosage. But by and large, I'm not personally a fan of counting carbohydrates, measuring food, or being very rules-driven, because it doesn't last long-term. People will get frustrated with it. And also, we only have and I love the fact that you're a psychiatrist, because actually, there's an emerging field of nutritional psychiatry, right? There's a lot of research that the way we eat can improve mental health. And it's almost could be a treatment for people with psychiatric illness and depression. Is that right, Dr. Lauterbach? Again, it's the big picture, right? This is one tool in many tools. You need to work with physicians. And I still think, medicine's super important. So, protein. We talked about what protein does. And now protein's very popular, right? It's on everything. Protein added smoothies, cereals, protein bars. Like, we're getting a little bit protein obsessed right now. This is the latest thing. Generally speaking, most of us get enough of it. They say like 0.8 to 1 grams kilogram body weight. As we get older, it's probably wise to have a bit more because we lose muscle as we age. So maybe you can go up to 1 to 1.2 grams of protein. But again, if you're having regular meals and you're having protein on your plate each time, you probably don't need to overly worry about it. And a lot of these things they're marketing to us, we've added protein, are very ultra-processed. I think it's better to eat real food. Any questions about the protein situation? No? So carbohydrates.
40 grams of protein. I know you put it in kilograms, but grams of protein. I've heard between 45 and 60 or something like that, grams of protein each day.
So it could be 60 to 100 based on your size.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you think like a chicken breast could be 20, 25. If you drink a glass of milk, you have eggs, lentils, quinoa. There's many, many different ways to get protein. And as I say, the more variety you have, the better. And lean sources of protein, especially if you have high cholesterol. So cut the visible fat off your meat. Choose like 97% lean with ground beef. Fish is really lean, particularly if you want omega-3 fatty acids. That's a healthy fat. Salmon, trout, sardines, those oily fish are great. I think it's good to eat more plant-forward meals, more vegetarian meals, and not always be eating meat. So, getting adventurous with having more beans and rice and looking to other countries' cuisines for recipe inspiration. Does anybody, do most of you guys eat meat, or do you eat vegetarian, or what kind of meals do you guys like to eat? Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with eating meat, and there's nothing wrong with being vegan or vegetarian. As long as you get the nutrients that you need, there's many ways to eat. So that's a cool thing.
How important omega-3? Because I've heard different things about omega-3 being in, salmon and the seafoods, and
I think they're really good, particularly for heart health. They're anti-inflammatory. So yeah, if you eat fish and you like salmon, yeah, it's a great idea. You can also find it in flax seeds, walnuts, if you want to be plant-based. So Carbohydrates. I'm not a fan of low carb personally. I think carbohydrates is very important. It's our main food source for our body, right? All carbohydrates are going to get broken down into glucose. That's what our brain and nervous system runs on. So it's good to have some carbohydrates. And if you can, try to have fun and look to more whole grains. They have more small vitamins in them. They're more slowly digested, particularly if you have diabetes and you want to help to control blood sugars. So things like farro, barley, oats are whole grain, even popcorn's a whole grain, and it's perfectly healthy. Depends what you add to it, right? And again, millet. I mean, lots of countries have lots of ancient grains. Sometimes just fun, like go to the grain section and say, oh, that's interesting. I've never tried that before. And you can make it in batches or add it to things. The other day I made some rice and I put like 2 quarters rice and 1/4 of quinoa in it. And I just cooked it together. It was good. Does anybody like to try any grains? What do you like?
I did try the millet. I was overseas though, but it was so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how did you cook it?
Well, they cooked it for us, but it was basically water, and then we could add whatever we wanted. And for stuff on the table, we had powdered milk, and somehow the powdered milk mixed in with the millet was just delicious.
Oh yeah, what country was that?
I was in Mali, West Africa.
And is that a staple there? Sorry, I have to keep going. Is it like something they eat a lot there?
Yes.
And it's probably a really good drought-resistant grain, right? So it's probably really good as climates change. In India, they grow a lot of millet too. So again, we all have our staples, every culture, like mashed potatoes, we have wheat, many countries eat rice. We just visited Kenya and the ugali, which is basically a very thick grits, but they make it so thick that you can slice it. That stuff is delicious. I made that a couple of weeks ago. Very nice. Fats, again, in butter, soybean oil, coconut oil, vegetable oil, used for energy, structural component of cells, fat-soluble vitamins. Where possible, we want to choose things like olive oil. We all know that. The Mediterranean types of oils, canola oils, also monounsaturated. Avocado is a great healthy fat. And try to limit very processed foods like cakes and snacks a lot sometimes have things called trans fats in them. They've worked hard in the last so many years to take those out of our food supply because they raise our bad cholesterol. So, we live and learn. I guess they thought they were making a shelf-stable, cheap thing to put in, but not so great. Butter on occasion in small amounts to me is fine. Like if you're only having a small slice of toast and you're putting a scraping of butter, it's okay. If you occasionally bake and use butter, it's all right. It's the amount, the quantity that you have. Any questions about that? And it's important to have a little bit of fat on your plate. It has a great mouthfeel and adds a lot of flavor to things. Gut health, I've put this in here because that's a very popular topic right now. Have you been seeing a lot of news articles on gut health and the microbiome? It's very popular now in research. So we're not just eating for ourselves and our bodies, it's kind of weird, but we're eating for all those bacteria that live in our large intestine. And a lot of research is coming that the more varied our microbiome, the population of the bacteria that live there, the healthier we are. They produce vitamin K, they produce serotonin, they can be involved in our immune system, maybe decreasing the risk of diabetes. Interestingly, as we go through, I know we've got a mixture of men and women, and perimenopause and menopause, they may even recycle estrogen, so who knows? It could be useful for us women. So again, the more variety that you have, the better for the gut bacteria. There is some research that you should try and aim for 30 different plants a week. And you're going to go, oh, wow, that seems like impossible. If you go to my website, I've anchored nutritiontherapy.com. There's loads of anchored, like an anchor, nutritiontherapy.com. I've written lots of blog posts over the last few years on different topics, but if you go to the resources tab, there's like a downloadable thing, like a checklist for just a bit of fun to try to get to 30 plants. So again, that can also include fresh herbs and spices, grains, nuts and seeds, and a variety of fruits and vegetables. And again, the more globally you think, the more fun you can have and the more options you have. Do you guys ever visit like Super G in Greensboro or Almond Indian Groceries in Winston, or there's another really cute Asian store on Jonestown Road called Gross Kaya? Do you ever visit international grocery stores just to try something new? No? Do it. It's awesome. I mean, you'll see, like, I love lychee. Have you had those before? Or rambutan? So they look like, you have to Google it, little furry, like hairy balls. And you break them open, and inside there's like a little soft white jelly with a stone in the middle. So good. And you'll find that in Super G. Obviously, dragon fruit has got very popular these days. That's a really great one. Can be a little expensive though. So sometimes using frozen fruits is a way to save money. And a lot of the grocery stores are selling dragon fruit. I think that grows like a cactus fruit. So as I say, variety is the spice of life. Well, that's in America, that expression too, I'm pretty sure. So also for good health, prebiotic fibers is like food for the bacteria. So that's just the fibers in fruits and vegetables, basically. And then you have probiotics. Have you heard of that term? So that's like live bacteria in the food itself. And that's found in kimchi, kefir, sauerkraut, fermented foods. I don't know if anybody likes any of those things. Yeah? This is your adventurous eater over here. Yeah, so just look when you buy it that it says live cultures on it. Most of it will. And Greek yogurt's very popular now, right? That, and also Icelandic yogurt had its time too, which is basically the same. They're a great source of protein if you are trying to get protein, because they kind of filter it to concentrate the protein in it. So that's a fun thing to have for a snack, for breakfast, for smoothies. Fruits and vegetables, we all know we need to eat more fruits and vegetables. They're delicious, they're colorful, they're fun, they add texture, they provide you with all your vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients, lutein and tomatoes, polyphenols, and things we haven't even got a name for yet. And interestingly, a lot of research will show that you can take vitamin and mineral supplements. Generally, not everybody I would recommend need them. Maybe if your doctor says your vitamin D is low, a lot of us have low vitamin D, and they can check that in your doctor's office. You might supplement that. If you're pregnant, you need supplements, and particularly folate. So sometimes you need it, but by and large, you can get it from food. And that's a more fun way to have it. You ever heard of 5 a day? Sorry, you made me think of it. Go ahead, what's your question?
What is the best food to keep your iron levels?
So if you eat meat, particularly red meat.
Red meat keeps your iron levels?
Red meat, yeah, because it's got heme iron. It's the best absorbed iron. And if you eat some vitamin C containing foods with it, because it helps absorb the iron. So it could be like citrus or peppers or greens. That will help to absorb the iron. Spinach. But if you're not vegetarian and you can eat meat, that's your best source.
I eat meat, but I try to limit my intake of meat in the course of a week's period. Maybe twice a week I might eat some meat of some kind.
But are you anemic? Yeah, you just have to weigh up. I would prioritize the anemia maybe. Again, yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's a good thing. I'm trying to think of other non-spinach, beans. But if you're willing to eat meat, that's the most easy absorbed form of it.
Say it again.
Pardon?
Say it again.
Oh, just say that the heme iron in the meat is the easier absorbed compared to non-heme iron.
I used to limit the amount of meat that I ate as well because of a documentary that I saw some years ago on the process of meat. But now that I'm on a weight loss journey and I have to increase my protein, I find myself eating more meat to try to get the protein in. I try to get at least 100 grams a day. And just the thought of eating the meat itself, I don't like it, but I have to eat it for the protein.
But again, you can have beans, you can make lentils, you can have tofu, you can have soya beans, quinoa. As I say, you can eat vegetarian sources of protein to meet that requirement. And I agree, like, sadly, the way meat is raised is not great. So if you can try and buy grass-fed beef, or I don't know, who knows, with labels anyways, can you even believe a lot of labels in grocery stores? I can get it from an ethical standpoint. I especially pork, the way they're raised, like in the eastern part of the state, in these big houses with no outside life. I mean, it makes you sad. If you can go to a local farmer's and you know the animals had a good life, and then maybe eat less meat to be ethical and have more plant-based. But again, that's an individual choice, but I get it. I worry about that too. But we, as consumers, we have power in what we buy that can slightly push things.
I hear about edible flowers. What flowers would you say are edible, and why should we eat them?
So I used to grow and sell edible flowers. So you can eat, oh, and I have to remember them all. You can eat violets, like, and you know they grow wild in the spring. Those cute little purple flowers, you'll see them often growing. Obviously, if you're picking them from your lawn, you don't want pesticides sprayed on them. So if you're using a lawn company that's spraying to make your grass green, I won't eat that. But if you know that your lawn is not having chemicals sprayed on it, you can pick and eat those. You can eat redbud blossoms in the spring too. They actually taste really good, like peas. I don't think nutritionally they add a lot, like in small quantities maybe. It's more for fun. I think it just makes things look pretty, basically. You know, when chefs like to make things look. But for fun, I think it's nice. What other ones are there? You can eat dandelions. I think they're kind of bitter though, in those ones. Some of them don't taste the best. You can eat marigolds, but they don't taste amazing. Maybe you can just pick the petals off and sprinkle it on. Roses is edible too. What other snapdragons are. Diamphosis is. Cherry blossoms are. There's a lot, but just do a search first before you eat it. But I think the Japanese even make desserts from cherry blossoms, I think. So, it's fun. And especially with little kids, I think foraging is kind of fun. You can take them out in the spring and pick some and sprinkle it on your food. Makes cakes look really pretty.
How important is the right mixture of foods? Like, for example, I love watermelon. So basically, in the morning, I'll drink a protein shake and eat watermelon. And before I go to bed at night, I'm eating watermelon. I just love watermelon. Every time I go to the grocery store, I gotta have some watermelon. Now, I'm concerned, like, it doesn't have the dark seeds anymore, or how important is seedless fruit now? You know,
They're just growing that because the consumers don't want to eat seeds. Nutritionally, it's the same. It's the same fruit. It's just been bred to not have seeds. So I don't.
You should eat watermelon with, say, such and such. I've heard things like that. Or
I don't think there's anything you can't eat watermelon with. Going back to the iron, there's tannins in tea that you probably, if you had iron deficiency anemia, it probably wouldn't be wise to drink tea with your meals because of that. And then sometimes if things are complete protein, like not complete proteins, like for example, rice doesn't have all the amino acids and nor does beans, but put together, you've got them all. So when you pair different foods together, that's why honestly, the more variety, the more color you have on the plate, the more likely you are to get it all. I have not heard anything about watermelon.
I was just using that as an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And enjoy living and eating in season, right? It's lovely right now. The melons are in season and locally. So enjoy them now because come winter, you're not going to get, especially we're on the end of tomato season. So enjoy those tomato sandwiches. I've lived in the South for a long time now. So I think in season eating is a lovely thing to do. But we are blessed because we can eat anything all year round because our grocery stores carry it all. So on the upside, I'm not going to feel guilty for being in the middle of winter and enjoying blueberries grown in Peru. If we have that luxury, enjoy it. So we talked about fruits and veggies. Dairy. Dairy as a food group is important for calcium, phosphorus, vitamin D, magnesium, for bones and teeth. If you're lactose intolerant, you could go for, rice milk, oat milk, soya milk. Just make sure it has calcium added. Or you can use lactose-free milk or Lactaid because a lot of folks have lactose intolerance. I might be wrong, but from my reading and my work, a lot of African Americans have lactose intolerance. My kids are half Indian. My daughter for sure has it. So a lot of Asians too from China, Korea, Japan, they often have it too. I think white Europeans forced ourselves to eat milk. By eating it over a couple of thousand years, we evolved to tolerate it. If you're vegan, nobody seems to be vegan here, but you do need to think a little bit more about what you eat because a lot of B12, for example, comes from meat products. So you may need to, it's probably a good idea to supplement. Nutritional yeast is a good thing to use. I never used it, but people say it tastes really good.
I bought some, I just never opened it. I watch cooking shows and I buy stuff, but I'm like, I don't even know how to start using it.
I think people put it on popcorn. I think it tastes a little cheesy. I actually saw a really cool video on Instagram the other day of this lady who made this savory oatmeal. And she had, she put so much stuff in that oatmeal. She had mushrooms, greens, nutritional yeast, flax seeds, all the kind of seeds, but it was so fantastic nutritionally. And I was like, that's a really cool, unusual way to make oatmeal. Something different. So you could try that and put the nutritional yeast in that. That might be good. So we've covered that. Considerations as we get older. So we want to make sure we drink plenty because our ability to detect being thirsty gets less as we get older. I think we all need to do a bit better drinking water. I think it's easy when it's really hot, but I think sometimes tying it with something I always take a bottle of water when I go in the car, or I'll drink water when I'm making dinner. When you first get up in the morning, you can get into a habit of having a glass of water before drinking your coffee. So sometimes when you tie a healthy habit with something you do all the time, it's easier to remember to do it. Do you guys think you drink enough water? That's good. A lot of people I work with, probably they say they don't. You're getting a lot in your watermelon. We talked about protein. Again, it can be canned fish, eggs, meat, beans, lentils. Does anybody use lentils? I guess I'm married to an Indian, so I've been exposed to it a lot over the years. So we eat a lot of dal. And I really like these little packs you can get now. Food Lion has them. I know Publix has like canned brown lentils. Sometimes I'll roast vegetables. I mean, at the end, I'll just pour and mix in the cooked. They're like little squidgy pouches of cooked lentils and chickpeas the grocery stores have. I think that's an easy way to add them in. Also, like if you make a stew, you could add like barley to the stew. And the reason why I have high cholesterol, and I don't know if I'll be like a miraculous story like yours, probably not, but that's okay too. I'll try my best. And I tell people this, you try your best, but if you need a medicine, don't be ashamed of it too. Sorry. That's my opinion. I think you can work with modern medicine and support it. So, but soluble fiber in like the lentils, the barley, the beans, the oats helps to lower cholesterol. So if you do have high cholesterol, it's good for you anyway, but just try and add more soluble fiber. We talked about, as we get older, vitamin D, that's something just to check on. And depending on how much sunlight you get, if you can get out a little bit outdoors every day in the sunlight, that helps your vitamin D. And I know you were talking about light and dark. I love like the whole idea of being in circadian rhythm. So, historically humans, we lived in harmony with the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun. So if you can get up a walk in the morning, get that sunlight into your eyes, that helps to set your circadian rhythm. It's very hard. We all fail at this, but powering down blue screen devices like laptops, phones, and not seeing them just before bed because your body still thinks it's daylight. So to help you sleep, because sleep is really, really important for health. And I've noticed when people sleep better, the way they eat and nourish themselves is easier. Have you ever been really sleep deprived? What happens to how you eat after the next day? Tell me. How does it affect us? Well, for most of my experiences, it makes people snack more because the body's like trying to look for energy, and we tend to go for carbohydrate-rich snacks. That's just 24 years of experience with clients. A lot of people I speak to in my work are struggling with constipation. So I had to bring that up. It's a weird topic, but don't ever be embarrassed to talk to your doctor if you are struggling with it. A lot of people just suffer with it. But the way we eat, moving more, drinking plenty of water can really help it. Again, have fun and enjoying food. And I want to just touch on the big picture. So, like I said right at the beginning, there's no good and bad food. You can have any food you want. The more rules you put in place, the harder it becomes. When we're little, we're intuitive eaters. Intuitive eating, there's a really good book with that title, written by 2 dietitians. It's on its 5th edition. It's a way of living in tune with our bodies. So we have the gift of living in our body, right? We want to work in partnership with it, and we want to listen to it. And the more we listen, the more we can take care of it better. So noticing, am I hungry? Am I full? Do I feel satisfied, or am I feeling a little bit too full? And trying to notice I've traveled for work and I've eaten out every single day and I've eaten a lot of fast food. I don't feel great. I feel tired and sluggish and I'm not feeling great. But when I eat more fruits and vegetables and more home-cooked food, I feel a lot better. I have more energy. So that noticing. As a society, we start going on diets. Most people from teenage years all the way through their entire lifetime. Not everyone, but a lot of people do. And it's very detrimental because you're outsourcing your body's wisdom to other people. It's telling you, you can't eat after this time. You can't eat this, you can't eat that. It's making us overly worried about eating and food. and filling our brains with rules that a lot of them don't even make sense. So my job is to try and pull people away from that and to come home to their bodies and to work in partnership with them again without that noise of dieting. Has anybody done diets over their lifetime, and what were your experiences?
My best friend, she always like, I'm not eating carbs, I'm not eating carbs. And next thing you know, she lost weight, but then she's doubled it, you know. So when she starts eating carbs, but she's always, I'm not eating carbs. I'm like, girl, you need that energy. So, you know, I always say, yeah, look at the labels to make sure you're not eating too much salt or sugar. But, you know, we need some carbs. We need carbs. But
Yeah.
I keep telling it's making you bigger, not eating carbs.
Yeah, and sadly, if you drew a graph of people's over lifetime, people who chronically diet, it kind of trends up over time. And because the plans are very restrictive, they're not sustainable long term. And as human beings, I feel like we have a little bit of rebelliousness in us. So after a while, we'll be like, oh, I'm not doing this. Like, this is like, I'm going to have the cake. You get caught in this mindset of like, I've messed it up now, so it's all over. It's all or nothing. So it's trying to, I always talk to people about self-compassion. I feel like that's, if there's one thing you can have is like a superpower, it's that. So if you say you leave here and you go, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to change my eating. And you start doing great for a couple of weeks. And then something comes up. You get stressed. A lot of people turn to food for comfort, which is a legitimate thing. We just need more tools for stress. But then if you start to struggle, you're like, well, I've blown it now. What's the point? And it's all over. But if you can catch yourself with kindness and say, it's okay. This has been a rough week. I'm just going to be kind to myself and I'm going to try again tomorrow. It's all right. That's the difference between taking care of yourself long term or this constant on and off cycle people seem to be on. Can anybody relate to that? So that's the kind of idea about intuitive eating, and also knowing that no meal or snack is going to derail your health. It's the big picture over the long term. So you shouldn't feel guilty like if you go to a new bakery in town with a friend and you eat a piece of cake because it looks delicious. That's being normal, right? We eat for so many reasons. We eat for culture, tradition, taste, and nourishment. And all of those are valid. I also want to throw in here that I'm a big proponent of enjoying and cherishing your cultural foods and traditions. Oftentimes it's promoted, yes, a Mediterranean style way of eating is healthy, but then every culture in the entire world has healthy recipes to share for us. So you should be able to enjoy the food you grew up with. And traditionally, the Southern diet can have a lot of healthy food in it. Tell me some. Can. Yes? Yeah? Yes. And I love how in the South you guys eat a lot of different beans. I mean, a lot of beans I didn't even hear of before, where you've got black-eyed peas and October beans and pintos, and these are really healthy foods. So, what's the other?
That's a Great Northern.
Great Northern, there's another one, yeah. You just walk down the bean aisle in the grocery store and see how many different types of beans there are. Again, they are great source of fiber, protein, micronutrients. I mean, if you have a bread, like cornbread and beans and collard greens, that's a balanced meal. Again, yes, fat back. But if you're making a big pot and it's a small amount, just for a bit of flavor, I'm not too worried about it. But if it's dripping in bacon grease. But again, most people are sensible. I think you intuitively know that. You don't need to be.
Canned vegetables have a lot of salt in it. Can it be washed off before you use it?
You can rinse it, but if you can use frozen, I think that's better. And actually, frozen fruits and vegetables can be sometimes more nutritious, even them fresh, because they're frozen very close to being harvested. They're not transported. A lot of our produce in certain times of the year comes from California, right? That's a long distance. But we always have some frozen fruits and vegetables. You can add it to anything. If you make couscous at that very beginning boiling stage, you could add some frozen peas or veggies there. If you're making stews, soups, even I've put peas in rice when I'm cooking rice. That's very dietitian of me. I'm always like, where can I add some extra vegetables? Even like if you make spaghetti, like a meat sauce, you can put spinach, carrots, mushrooms, all kinds of stuff in there.
How important is organic versus non-organic?
It's a hard one, but I would say do what you can afford. Eating fruits and vegetables is more important than worrying too much about that, if I'm being honest. If you can get organic, yes, it's good. And I would be a big advocate for buying from local farmers if you can, because we have some amazing local farmers here. I'm a little lazy. I can get my produce delivered. There's a lady called Becky in Winston and she has a website called Let It Grow Produce. And I don't work for her. I just love what she does, and I tell it to everyone. She collects all the produce from local farms, and she delivers it. It's a $5 delivery fee. And you can buy, on Tuesdays, she uploads it to deliver on Wednesday, and Fridays to deliver on Saturday. It's decent prices. I don't feel like it's very expensive. So I buy a lot of my produce from there. And again, it's fun. It's in season. You're supporting local farmers. Heritage Harvest Farms, and I live in Pofftown. They do the same kind of thing, a bit more expensive, if I'm being honest. Fair Share Farm in Pofftown's an amazing farm with a farm store. What other ones? Obviously we've got Cobblestone, I think, is just down the street somewhere when I looked at the map for coming here. Have you been there? Cobblestone, yeah, farmers market. That's every Saturday morning. Have you guys ever been to that? I think it's maybe very close to here, 5 minutes, I think.
Two things. Can you repeat the name of that delivery service?
L-
And what exactly does organic mean?
So it's the method of growing and trying to use different pesticides. However, organic still uses some pesticides. It is a challenge to grow crops to feed many people without using any chemicals at all. I will say Fair Share Farm is probably organic for sure. But if you drive past that farm, because I live slightly in a rural area, it's a lot of work. You'll see they have a lot of staff and they'll pull weeds by hand. So it is doable, but then it costs more. I think realistically, you're going to have a mixture of all kinds of farms to feed how many people in America, 350 million. But we do have to think about industrial monocrop agriculture. It's not good for the soil. Even I was, around me, I'm seeing the corn's very, very low this year. I don't know if it's the rain or the weather, but we heavily rely on chemicals to grow it, right? We spray the Roundup, kill it all, and then we're using the fertilizers to get it grow. Long term, it's not a sustainable practice. The soil probably has hardly any nutrients in it at all at that point. So that was a very long-winded answer. It's complicated. Let It Grow Produce.
She's in Winston-Salem.
Yeah, she's in Winston. I got some good stuff from her every week.
Yeah, she was talking about I'm lactose and I love ice cream. And I can't seem to find the ice cream that's with me. I like vanilla. I have been to Trader Joe's and they have strawberry. I really don't care for that, but I'm just trying to find vanilla.
Does that company that makes lactose-free milk, do they have one? You know the company that makes the lactate-free milk? They may have one, or you can simply buy the lactose tablet in like the pharmacy and take it before you eat the ice cream. You basically just need the enzyme, lactase, to break down the lactose. That's what your body's not making. So you could eat any ice cream if you take the lactose tablet, the enzyme tablet. But yeah. Or you could do plant-based, I guess, like coconut, and sometimes it's dose-based. Some people will do fine with a little bit, but they eat too much, then it gives them symptoms. Yeah, so
Yeah, what would be like, I guess your top 3 reasons for somebody changing from like meat to plant-based? Because I know it's a few different kinds, you know, from vegan to like pescatarian, and all kinds of ways of eating. And it's like a 2-part question. Like, if you had the opportunity to, let's say, take out all the fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King, like what kind of eating would you replace it with? Like, would it be more vegan, you know, or
I think it's just
ingredients? Yeah.
whatever you personally want to do. I think that's very much a personal choice. I think we could probably eat less meats and maybe have meat 2 or 3 times a week and then have plant-based meals. Vegan is a challenge. You got to be really dedicated. I would personally miss eggs. Eggs are like, I have chickens, they're kind of useless though. They don't lay any eggs for me right now. They're kind of just like pets. They're older and they're molting, so I always have to buy eggs. It's kind of a joke, but anyway. People think if you have chickens, you're going to get all this great egg supply. Well, no. And they don't lay in the winter either because of the sunlight. The reason you get eggs is they put lights in those chicken houses to make them lay. So I think it depends on what you want to do. Like my mom-in-law's vegan. My sister-in-law, yeah, she pretty much is too. But again, you have to think about it a bit more. You're going to have to eat a lot of beans and lentils, learn how to cook. I would say it's a balance and replacing fast food restaurants. Well, I mean, Chipotle is a decent option if you want to eat out. Carver. Some of these ones that you can choose and have like a small amount of rice or brown rice if you want, salad, peppers, beans. Those are pretty good options. It's a very tricky question too because it's based on cost too, right? The McDonald's and the fast food restaurants are very cheap. And if you're struggling financially, that's going to be appealing. All of these big issues have to be driven by government policy and making food more affordable for everyone, because it's not fair. And food is sadly more expensive these days. I wish it wasn't. So again, if I'm working with people who are on a budget, we'll talk about frozen. Often you can get better deals using frozen produce. Certain fruits and vegetables are always affordable. Like I think bananas are always a good deal. Cabbage, carrots, potatoes. Those are the ones which are coming to my head. So you can do it, like cans of beans, dried beans are very affordable. You just have to think about it a little bit more carefully. You know, when things are on sale, buy them on sale and freeze them. Eating in season tends to be more affordable. I don't know if that helps. I think it's good to eat more plant-based though. We often have some vegetarian meals in the week.
I've been told about water. It's best to drink water at room temperature than it is to put ice in it. And it's better for digestion. Have you heard anything like that?
I can't see why that would be the case. I think whatever you like, if you like ice in it and you're gonna drink more of it, fine. If you like it room temperature, I think it's cultural too. Like Americans, you guys love ice. And in Europe, growing up, like in the UK, we didn't very rarely put ice in water. However, now I think that we have more refrigerators that look more like American refrigerators, and they have ice machines in them, so maybe culturally it's changing. But you'll often see social media posts of Americans going to other countries like, they don't put ice in the drinks, and the beer's warm. So I think it's cultural.
Is there particular water to drink that's better than others, like spring water versus purified?
Nah, anything's fine. From an environmental standpoint, I'm not a big fan of us all using bottled water and throwing the bottles away, because I don't think that our cycling really works. So I would drink tap water, or if you're on a well, drink well water. Well, you know what? When I moved to Pufftown, for fun, because I'm weird, I messaged the water treatment plant and said I wanted to tour it with my kids, and they let me tour it. I have confidence in it. They are very professional. They have a very good system. Who knows how it works, but it's very high security because they don't want our water supply to get contaminated. I have trust in tap water. And I think many countries have safe drinking water. Obviously, when you travel to other countries, if there's a label, don't drink the tap water, don't drink the tap water. Like, many countries, like in India, I don't drink the tap water. They do have a filter in the house. In Kenya, we didn't. In Greece, we didn't. I mean, it's quite surprising, actually. Quite a few countries, you can't. But in America, I think it's okay. It's a taste thing. Sometimes people don't like the actual taste of it. But you can use a Brita water filter. We do that. You know those little jugs? That makes the taste a bit better. Or you can put a filter in your refrigerator to improve the taste.
Yes, when I lived in Georgia, our local water district would put out basically kind of a newsletter quarterly, and they could tell you exactly how many parts per million of each mineral was in that water. And you're not going to find one of these spring water companies that's going to make that information readily available. And something I wondered about lately, it says it's from the Alps or something like that, but a lot of it doesn't come from the Alps, and I'm wondering just exactly where does it come from?
A lot of it's just groundwater. They're just pumping it from the ground. And in some countries, they are even depleting, I think even Coca-Cola in India are depleting groundwater for the locals. It's a scam.
So tap water is not that bad.
Not at all. I mean, if you think about our tap water in Winston, your water in this area probably comes from Salem Lake. A lot of our lakes were built, probably Lake Norman, well, that was built for the nuclear power station to cool the reactors, but also as a fresh water supply. The water in Pufftown comes straight off the Yadkin River, and they just bypassed it into the water treatment plant. So again, it's sustainable. Whereas I don't know if all these bottled companies, how sustainable it is. If they're just drilling down and draining aquifers of water, that's not good for future generations.
What's also alkaline water?
Alkaline water. I don't know. I don't know if it's just kind of a marketing thing. Now they have these drinks for probiotic drinks too. Added protein. I'm not a physician, but your body is naturally going to keep your alkalinity or your pH perfect, right? Like the human body is like the most amazing thing ever. It can handle that. You want to chime in, Doctor?
Once it hits the stomach, your stomach is going to regulate. There's a lot of acid in the stomach, so if you drink alkaline water, that's going to get neutralized as though you never drank any kind of alkaline water. And the body just adjusts for what it needs, and what it doesn't need, it gets rid of.
Yeah.
So we just don't really have to worry so much as you would listening to the internet. I see all these things coming up on the internet, and they're without basis. In fact, the thing that got me lately was Himalayan pink salt.
Yeah.
There's no significant attribute of that other than it's the color pink.
And actually, my teenage daughter said something very clever about that recently to me, which she learned at school. It has no iodine. And iodine, comes often from the soil of what things are growing in. And you can get deficiencies. We don't see it in our society, but in certain parts of the world, they get goiters and iodine. But most of our salt is, you see, now you'll notice it now. It says iodized salt. So they're adding that in so we don't get those deficiencies. So if you just switch to Himalayan salt or those sea salts, my daughter's like, we need to get iodized salt because we hadn't got it. And I was like, okay. So that's just a little interesting thing. And they add a lot of things too, like flour in the States. They used in the 1960s or 70s or whatever, they started adding folate to flour to help to prevent deficiency. But yeah, we don't see any micronutrient deficiencies really in our country. But in other parts of the world, yeah, it still happens.
Thank you for being here. Very interesting. I wanted to ask about how in recent years, many products will say bioengineered. And I'm wondering, is that a cause for concern? Does that affect the nutritional value of the food? Because, as you pointed out, organic, that's more or less true.
Yeah, so bioengineered, yeah.
Bioengineered foods. And are we headed that way in the future? Because somehow or another, to me, food does not taste the same as it did years ago. And you buy things and you'll look and say, wow, this doesn't taste the same. Then it will say bioengineered. So, but I don't understand, I haven't done, taken time to research that or whatever. So since you were here, I thought I would ask you about it.
So bioengineered means that crop it's GMO, genetically modified organism. And in the States right now, corn would be, I think there's one kind of apple. No. Let's just Google it. There's not many. There's maybe four food products that are GMO. So the reason they made these products, because of pests, right? So they made the GMO corn in either the 1990s or 1980s so they could spray Roundup on it. And the plant itself would survive the application of the herbicides. So it was a great thing for farmers at that time. Soybeans, yes. Okay, so in the fruits, we've only got papaya, and I think it's one kind of apple. And I think that type of apple, so it doesn't brown, maybe that's why we did it. So I don't think you need to wait. Corn would be the one, and soybeans, oils, that's the ones you're probably getting the most because a lot of ultra-processed food probably has a lot of soybean oil in it. So again, the more home cooking you do and cooking from scratch, that can help to eliminate that one. I mean, it's tough because those big cornfields around here and around the Midwest, that is where most of our corn probably comes from. I mean, I sometimes like to mix cornflakes with muesli. Muesli is super healthy. Cornflakes is okay, but I like the crunch of it. And yeah, I'm probably buying GMO cornflakes, but I'm not eating a great deal of it, so it's kind of like you're weighing it up. If you bought organic, it would not be GMO because the type of corn they use would not be GMO. But again, I don't know, sustainability, right? Even I'm not in agriculture anymore, but a few years ago, they were getting resistant weeds to Roundup in the cornfields and the soybean fields, and then they were having to try and find other crops which were GMO and using a different type of chemical called dicamba because the weeds had become resistant to Roundup. There's something called pigweed that can grow in it. So I don't know what we're going to do long-term in agriculture with that. We have to just see what the scientists come up with. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of it personally But can we completely eliminate it from our food supply? I don't know if we can at this point. If you can, if you're worried about it, I would choose organic. And I do actually hear a lot of people saying food tastes different. I think it's more processed than before, maybe. A lot of times, historically, people would have their own gardens. They would grow a lot more food. Maybe they would buy more from locally. It's more global now. It's a tricky thing. I see a lot of criticism from people of the American food system. Oh. And people, they go to Europe and they make these reels like the food is so fresh and so good and all my health problems have gone. But there's a lot of junk food in Europe too. So it's not as simple as you're right, we're wrong. And as I said, in the area that I live, there's a few farms around me. I'm able to buy local produce from local farmers. We can support people to do better and to grow more diverse crops. If you can have a garden, even if it's just some little containers on your back deck, I think that helps. I mean, as cities, we should plant more fruit trees for people to pick fruits. We could plant more figs and apple trees and peach trees and blueberry bushes in your yard. I don't know. I don't have the answers. It's complicated. But yeah, sometimes going back to the past, it was probably better than it is now. I think there's a shift though, wouldn't you say? I think in recent years, people have been trying to be a bit more health conscious than before. It probably after the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, people used a lot of TV dinners and very ultra-processed foods because it was quick and more women were maybe going back to the workforce, had less time to cook meals from scratch. And now we're kind of shifting back to wanting to cook. Now we've got all these trad wives, all these ballerina farmers who are like cooking everything from scratch.
Raised on a farm, and back then, everything that you ate came straight out of the field. The only thing you put on it was fertilizer to make it grow. And moving from North Carolina to Maryland, my mother continued to grow her own food. We ain't killing hogs, right? But it was different. I mean, the actual population, you had to do something, the farmers had to do something to make it grow faster and last longer. And thank God he knew this was coming, so he gave us a system that breaks it down. Like you said, this stuff is an incredible thing. But overdoing it is bad too. And we do that to ourselves with a fork and a spoon in the night. So we have to be cautious, like you said, and it's important because people are getting sicker more today than ever before.
Yeah, it's, as I said at the very beginning, it is kind of a job to take care of ourselves. But oftentimes when I speak to clients, you have to know that you are worth taking care of, right? That's the fundamental thing, like you deserve to feel good in your body, have energy, live the life you want to live, go on adventures, and have strength to do these fun things. I'm always trying to hook people into like, who's the person you want to be? What goals do you have? What adventures do you have planned? And taking care of your body now helps you to achieve those things. If you're eating out all the time and, maybe eating past this feeling of being uncomfortably full and not having other tools to handle stress, that's a huge one. A lot of people use food to handle stress, which is a valid tool. It's a good one. It's always available to us, but you need a lot. So I'm often doing a lot of counseling techniques and referring to therapists a lot because having those other tools, we live in a stressful world. Like that could be like going outside and listening to the birds or meditation or yoga or physical activities for to improve your mood, working with a psychiatrist or a therapist, because then you have many tools to handle stress. And when you're overall, sometimes I'll tell people to have like micro moments, like little mindful moments throughout the day. Like it could be before you go to work, go and walk the dogs around your neighborhood. On your lunch break, take your lunch outside and have a picnic, or stop at a park on the way home, or you sit down quietly with a cup of tea and read a book for 10 minutes. We need these moments to reset and feel calmer. When you're in a better state, it's easier to have the energy to cook and do grocery shopping and to go to the gym or to find movement you enjoy. Because a trend I often see people doing, particularly working parents, is staying up late at night. It's almost like this revenge thing, like it's my time now. Finally, the kids are in bed. I've had a really long day. They'll stay up snacking, watching Netflix. And then there's this cycle of always being too tired. And, so trying to have, if you have these little moments during the day, you don't need that as much. Sometimes getting an early night is a gift to yourself. Any other questions?
Is it vitally important that we have 3 meals a day? Can you just have 2 in there?
I think every individual is different. You got to do what works for you. I personally like regular meals. I think people do better that way. They're more in tune with their hunger and fullness. They have more energy, and they're less likely to overeat later in the day. Because what I've noticed is people who miss meals, or they get busy at work, and they, actually a lot of times I'll see people with ADHD, that's another topic, but they don't have great interoceptive awareness like hunger and fullness, or they get hyper-focused on tasks, then they miss meals. And then when it comes to dinner time, the hunger's going to start hitting you, and you'll be raiding the cupboards, and you'll have to eat past being overly full. And also, if you have diabetes, you're going to get better blood sugar management if you're spacing out meals. I'm not a fan of intermittent fasting in these kind of diets because it feels like you're on a diet. So it might work short term, but then if you start to get hungry and fixated about food, it's going to be like coming off a diet. What happens when you come off a diet? You're like, I can have it all now. I don't know. I just notice people feel more imbalanced with regular meals, and it gives you regular energy throughout the day. But if you're older and you're not as active as you were in your younger years and you're fine on 2 meals a day, you have to figure out what works for you. I always tell my clients, you are the expert of you.
What's the cutoff time for eating at night?
There is no magic cutoff time. Your body can digest food anytime. However, it sometimes is better not to eat a couple hours before you go to bed, because your body wants to be resting and regenerating and not spending its energy on digestion. But there's no you can't. Because, life happens, right? Sometimes people work a late shift, or they have after-school activities or something in the evening and they have to eat later. But by and large, it's probably not best to eat just before you go to sleep.
And that's funny because that's when we really are sleeping. After you eat.
Yeah, sometimes people use it for that way, to feel sleepy, or they eat lots of carbohydrate to feel that Thanksgiving feeling. But you probably don't want to use that as a tool to go to sleep. It's probably not your best one. I mean, sleep hygiene, right? Have a nice routine, wind down, read a book, have a milky drink, whatever it works for you. Have a nice, quiet, calm, cool environment. I don't think loading up with a big meal is your best sleeping tool. And some people have reflux and indigestion that might not sit well when they lie down.
Now, I know we're in a church environment, but let's talk about, for example, when I was going to the doctor, my doctor said you could drink a glass of red wine, with your dinner or whatever, and it's also good And in the Bible, it even says that a little wine is good for the belly. Now, I know, of course, don't do it in excess, of course, but how healthy is a glass of wine?
I think an occasional glass of wine is fine. I mean, humans have been drinking alcohol since the dawn of time, right? For at least 2,000 years. But as a chemical, it's probably not great for our bodies. I don't know if I think actually the alcohol industry maybe sponsored some of that. There's probably some lobbying going in with that. And even when I graduated 20 years ago, I can remember, 2 glasses a day, polyphenols, flavonoids, heart healthy. But actually, I think in recent years, we've come to realize that probably the alcohol industry lobbied our alcohol guidelines, definitely in the UK, Australia, and probably in the US. So just be a little skeptical sometimes of dietary guidelines, sadly, can be lobbied. But as I say, in moderation, it can be fine. And there's a beautiful culture to it too, I guess. Like the growing, the vines, and, families have been doing it for centuries, and the taste and the flavor. I can admire the culture of it.
What's the healthiest culture have you seen?
That's why I don't like to say healthiest culture. I've traveled, I've been very, very blessed. I've traveled a lot. Very, very blessed. I've been to 42 countries. I don't think there's the best. I think every country has good recipes. Like India, I can say the way my mom-in-law eats, super healthy, fresh veggies on the plate every meal, lots of beans and lentils. Very healthy. South Korea, amazing for gut health. I was very impressed from a gut health perspective because they had lots of small dishes of kimchi and fermented veggies and pickles and great variety, really. And they had a lot of great things with barley, like barley salads. I was like, wow, that's cool. There's so many countries, right? The Italians, I love their love of fresh, good quality, in-season produce, simple, beautiful pastas, just with perfectly ripe tomatoes and nice, fresh veggies, lovely cuisines. Where else? There's so many countries. My brain's gone. Iceland, they have a lot of free-roaming organic lamb, so they have some really good lamb soups. They also have barley salads, fresh seafood. A lot of countries which are near the ocean, you have a lot of great fresh seafood. The UK was kind of similar to America. It's good. It's not wow. Cuisine-wise, I've been a traitor to my own country now. Vietnamese, beautiful food, right? Lovely food. The more fun you have, Africa too, I'd love to learn more about African cuisine. We've only just been to Kenya. That was my first time to Africa. I'd love to go to more countries because every country in Africa will be so different depending on what grows in the region. Even in India, every state has its own different cuisine. So in the south, they eat much more rice because the rice grows better in the south. In the north, they eat more wheat because wheat grows better. Even within America, every region will have different regional cuisines. Louisiana is probably one of my favorites. You have the gumbo and the jambalaya and the seafood. I think it's to be celebrated. And the more you engage with your neighbors, your friends, local restaurants, food markets, the more fun you can have because you have more options. So no best. Everything's good.
I heard you say barley a couple of times. Is that a vegetable or?
Oh, which one? Barley. Barley is a grain.
It's a grain.
It's like oats.
Spell it.
Barley.
Oh, barley.
Barley.
Okay.
They grow it here. You'll sometimes see it growing in Yadkin County, but they grow it here for beer.
Assistant to the corn and.
Yeah, it looks like wheat in the field, but it's a whole grain. So sometimes I'll add it to stews and stuff. And sorghum is actually very healthy. They grow sorghum here. Have you ever seen that growing? Sorghum, have you ever seen that growing? It looks like corn, but a little shorter. So, sorghum. And they grow it here for cattle, but humans can eat it. In fact, I got what grocery store is that? Publix, maybe. I got a cereal recently, and it's called Onyx Sorghum. It's like a shredded wheat cereal with sorghum grains in it. And it says on the back that A&M University in Texas grew through hybrid, not GMO, hybrid. That's a traditional method of breeding crops. Made this high protein, high fiber sorghum and added it to shredded wheat. And it's pretty healthy, actually. I mean, the ingredients are wheat and sorghum. That's it. Because that's a nice whole grain. Takes a long time to cook, though. It takes a good 20, 25 minutes, sadly. So I go off on all kinds of weird tangents.
I'll give you a weird tangent. I understand that sorghum has been used to make moonshine whiskey.
Oh, cool.
Well, corn was used a long time ago. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a similar crop to corn. It looks very similar.
Oh, okay.
Does it taste similar?
It's a very small, tiny grain. Kind of like millet, actually. Like a millet. And I think you can even pop it. But it was very tiny. Even, and I can't say this word, arath. Oh, my goodness. Amaranth. I can't spell it either. It's another grain like a millet, and it can grow here, and it's kind of long with little tiny seeds, kind of like quinoa. Amaranth. You know the one? I grew it once, and you can eat, that's a seed too, like a quinoa, and you can also pop that, but tiny, tiny. I grew it once for fun, and yet it's a lot of work for not much return. Have you guys ever grown something just for fun, just to see what the plant looked like? No.
Not since elementary school, put a potato in some water and watch it.
Sometimes that's fun to do. Once I grew fava beans just for the blossoms. That's a really healthy, big, thick bean in a pod. They have really cool black and white blossoms. Once I grew a cotton plant in a school garden I volunteered at just to see cotton grow. Obviously, if you grew up in the American South, maybe that's something you would see. But as a British person, when I used to start, food fascinates me.
I tried growing beets this year, but I still see the plant sticking out. I'm kind of afraid to pull it up.
Sometimes you could put your little finger in there and just feel it to see if it's grown underneath. Sometimes you can do that with carrots. Well, that's cool. That would be fun. You can make, has anybody ever had borscht? It's a delicious beet soup, famous from Russia and Ukraine. My daughter loves that. It's beautiful. It's a bright pink, red color. It's super healthy. And as I say, that part of the world, that's like one of their most favorite things. If you ever go to a Russian restaurant, it'll always be on the menu. Borscht. Oh, I'm not a good speller. B-O-R-S-C-H-T, I think. B for boy. Borscht. It's delicious. Yeah. Obviously, you might need to use gloves when you're cutting the beets because they will stain your fingers. Beets are great roasted too. Or you can just boil them. I mean, in Greece, we often had a salad, and it was just a sliced beet salad with the greens, because you can eat the greens too. You can just literally boil it and slice it and add it to salads. They have a lot of cool colors, different, have you seen? They have yellow ones and like stripy ones, and there's a lot of cool colors. Like sweet potatoes, you can get purple and white and orange. Sweet potatoes are really healthy. All right, are you good?
Yeah, thanks.
You gave us your website. A lot of information that you gave us today, is that on your website?
Yeah, a lot of it will be there.
Can you spell your website out?
So Anchored,
Her web, local address is there too. Well, thank you.
thank you.
Little different,
Thanks.
isn't it? Okay, thank you all for coming in. We got a luscious meal prepared for you, wholesome. She checked it out before, and she sent me all these slides and asked me to look at them and see if they were okay. And I said, I don't know beans about this. You're the one. I'm so thankful. It's awesome. It is just, Will and his wife Cotton. It is beautiful. It's been thrilling to get to know, to reconnect with nature. We grew up, my grandparents had a farm on my mom's side, but we had chickens, we had